Good evening, everybody. It's really nice to come to you again this Friday. It's always our joy to come to you every Friday. And yeah, so this month, as we indicated on our page, we're going to be majoring on after I say I do. So it will all be topics around after we say I do. You know, we climaxed last month with issues to do with before I say I do. And so the whole of this month, it will be all about before, after I say I do. And so we have wonderful guests lined up for you. And we look forward to a good time together, learning and just to know how can we fireproof our marriage. So our theme for this month will be Fireproof My Marriage. And so like I indicated, today we'll be dealing with how to fireproof my marriage. So we want you to personalize it because it is your marriage. It is not their marriage, but my marriage. And so we look forward to a good time this evening, and we pray that you've had a lovely week. And the end of the week, I personally had a beautiful day. Today was my birthday. And so it was quite eventful, and I was excited coming to you, even though it was a busy one. But I am so excited. I turned 42. Yes, I can tell my viewers that today, and I'm grateful and happy that I can have this platform to help us build on our relationships and build on our marriage. So it's me, your host, Pauline, and my sign language interpreter, Fiona Wallis, is here with us. We are happy to have her. And I want to give this time to our very able guest to introduce himself. Tell us a little bit more. Of course, you've seen his name on the posters, but I want to tell a little bit more, of course, his name and a little bit more of himself. So welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Pauline. I'm glad that, thank you so much. I'm glad to be a part of the great work that you are doing, working with the couples and just being there with them and doing your very best to help them navigate through this journey. It's not an easy journey, but by the grace of God, all things are possible. So my name is Amos Alumada Kea. I'm married to Susan for the last 26 years. And we got two sons, Joshua and Jonathan, and a granddaughter. Her name is Alma. She just turned 6 months on 1st of this month. And so we are grateful as a family to grow together. And it's exciting, yeah, to see what God is doing and what we are learning as we interact with other couples. It's the growth curve, I would want to say, it's been very progressive, positively progressive, and I thank God for that.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I need to add this to my viewers, that Mwalimu Amos is my lecturer, you know, and so I'm in school. I'm currently ongoing in school as well. And he's one of my lecturers. He's been on this field for many, many years, worked with many couples and still continuing to do the same and teach on the same. And so he has a lot of experience on this topic. So yes, fireproof my marriage. I mean, marriage will always have conflicts, and those are the ones we are looking at as fire. You know, things that can come and consume our relationships, consume our marriages. That a couple which went down the aisle, you know, to say I do, to say for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, come and one time it consumes them. You know, the conflicts consume up, and they get to a point of saying, I don't want this anymore. I don't love him anymore. You know, go to the extent of telling friends, telling family, and they can't take it anymore. They cannot love anymore. And we come to a point of, at times, we even feel like we are not compatible. Yet before marriage, we felt that we were compatible and we wanted to go down the aisle. But I think what we really need to know here is that conflicts are inevitable because we are different individuals. And I always say, even people who are born together, I mean, siblings, they go through a lot of, fights here and there. Even with your own parents, you differ here and there. And so really, imagine two people not brought up together, coming together to share their lives. Really, conflict is inevitable. So what we want to talk about today is, how then do we fireproof our marriages? Because conflicts will come, things will come, third parties will come. How can we fireproof our marriages? So Mwalimu Amos, maybe allow me to ask you, in your time with couples, is there an issue that would be so difficult, or you'd say is not solvable in a marriage?
Well, it's very true. To begin with, I want to say you rightfully put it, that conflicts are inevitable in any given relationship. In fact, any relationship where, or a marital relationship where there are no conflicts, that will be like what Gottman say, it will be like living in hell, yeah, where there's no conflict. So conflicts come in to remind us that something is wrong, or an area in the relationship needs to be attended to. And it is intelligent couples that are quick to realize or recognize the conflicts that exist in their relationships. In fact, conflict avoiders don't fare very well in their relationship, because the more one avoids conflicts, the more they begin to feel taken for granted, and the more they look for strategies to give in more and more and more, and eventually they get tired. The very one who was trying to avoid conflict, they are now the ones who will bring the conflict. The conflict comes in. Let me put it this way. When you avoid a conflict, you are creating a conflict. Yeah. You are creating a conflict, because within you, yourself, there is this battle. Yeah, you know the reason why you are taking, avoiding to bring up that conflict. And so that avoidance in itself is the one that will begin to stir up some emotions, negative emotions within you, the resentment, the bitterness, the anger, etc. And with the time, it is going to erupt at one given moment or the other. And the other thing I wanted to mention as you are doing your introduction, and I liked it, I just want to add something on what you said, that two people who seemed to have been compatible from the beginning eventually end up feeling that they no longer fit one another. The truth of the matter is, as you were talking, it just dawned to me that, you know what, I'm yet to come across any two compatible people in this world. Seriously, I'm yet to come across those two people that will be compatible. And by compatible, I mean they think alike, they act alike, they speak alike, they do everything alike. Yeah, those people are not there. And that's why we get married. We get married to people, to somebody who is exactly the opposite of you, so that in one way or the other, they can either complement or complete you, or build you up, nurture you, edify you in areas where you feel a little bit stuck, or in an area where you need some growth. So back to your question, are there couples who in their relationship come across issues that cannot be resolved? Yes, it's true. Research done by John Gottman
Wow, we lost Mwalimu Amos there. Hoping to get him back shortly. So he was taking us through, are there issues a couple can find themselves in that are difficult or cannot be solved? And he said, yes, there are such issues. And he was just taking us to that. I'm hoping we just get him back shortly. Yeah, so you can continue. You can give in your comments. We have talked about, he has dropped. We are talking about fireproof by marriage. And so we want to know, how then do we fireproof our marriages? So feel free to put in any comment or just something that when you look at that topic, or something which has been in your mind that you'd like addressed this evening about fireproofing our marriages. Yes, we have you back, Mwalimu Amos.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
The technology is really can mess us up.
Yes. Yes. You are taking us through a research that was done about issues.
So what I was
in
saying
the marriage.
is, sorry for the interruption. Yeah, will never be resolved. Only 31%. And the reason why personality differences. I mean, we are so different to the extent that, if like Amos, I wake up very early in the morning, I'm just ready to go. My wife, on the other hand, is not a morning person. She's so quiet in the morning. She does everything quietly. She doesn't want any interruption. And so if I try to change her to think and to act like me, it's going to be very hard. Very hard. I've tried it for the last 26 years and I just couldn't succeed. So I decided just to leave it at that, because I realized that we have more years ahead of us than the ones that we've lived together. And so that helps us to realize that, our individual differences are based on our unique personalities. And so the earlier one realizes that, the better for them to begin to know how to manage or to navigate through some of the difficult issues that may get them stuck along the way. And so one way to realize or to notice that an issue is perpetual is when, say, you keep on talking about it every now and then, and you don't seem to be getting anywhere. The more you talk about it, the more you escalate the conflict, and the more you get stuck. Another way is when, say, a different issue will come up in the relationship, but then you go back to what you thought you had solved before. Your partner may have thought that maybe you forgot about this. It's not an issue, but you will bring it up like an auditor. And so the issue of auditing unfinished businesses in our relationship accounts for this 69% of the issues that will never be resolved. So what I do with the couples when I realize that this is one of those perpetual issues is to help them to begin to talk about that issue in a different way without necessarily striving to resolve it, but just to talk about it with the aim of understanding your partner's perspective about the issue. Because, Pauline, every conflict has a dream. And so the key thing is to help individuals to learn from their partners what their dream is within this given conflict. And when somebody gives himself or herself permission to know from their partners,
thank you for
their perspective, it becomes much easier for them to talk about, not to solve, but to talk about it. They have to get this, you mean this is what you are saying. I just didn't, you could have just told me, they get to that point of realization, this is who my husband and this is who my wife is. I may not see the ground, but at least I understand why they do things the way they do. And move forward. That's how, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
thank
get
you.
that. All right. And then, Mwalimu Amos, what would you say is the issue? Because sometimes you find that one spouse is willing to solve an issue, but the other spouse is not willing. I don't know. What can you say about that? Because then it means that one of them wants to put the fire down, wants them not to be consumed. One is willing not to make the relationship work, but the other person is not willing to make the relationship work. One partner is willing for them to get help, the other person. What would be the issue there, Mwalimu?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's just building on exactly what I had said. You know, difficulties in relationships are based on areas where partners are not willing to see the ground. These areas can be the belief system, the value system, the assumptions or presumptions that people have about life. And some of them are deeply rooted in our family of origin or our culture. And so you realize that one partner wants to stay, the other one wants out. And when you come across such individuals, it may not necessarily be that it's a big issue. It could just be such a small issue that has been unattended to for a long time. And then it has, over time, solidified, calcified, and become like a hardened stone, which cannot be broken into pieces. But you see, when individuals begin to realize their differences, it becomes much easier for them now to move forward. And so personality differences. And then another area and another reason why people may not want to see the ground is because of their vulnerability. There are some people who are so defensive, so self-protective that they don't want to give themselves room or permission to be vulnerable. And so when people become defensive, it's necessary for the other one to find out what is it that is making my partner difficult to open up about certain issues. And when they open up themselves, they invite the other one to see things from their perspective. It might become easier for them now to begin to dialogue. But as long as people feel they are not friends, they struggle with vulnerability. They become so defended against vulnerability to the extent that they will not be willing to open up. So the issue of vulnerability is very, very key. You know, it's like being naked, emotionally naked to one another, cognitively naked, spiritually naked, just being open to one another. But you see, you cannot open up to anyone who is a stranger to you. Yeah, there are some people who have been married for many years, but you know, they're like strangers to one another. Yeah, they have not given themselves room to be vulnerable. So they remain strangers to one another in so many ways.
Wow, that is interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, so it means that both spouses have to allow themselves to be vulnerable and know that they are not going to lose anything to their spouse because that is their spouse anyway. They need to be naked to one another. Okay, thank you for that, Mwalimu. And now let's dive here. So how then can a couple fireproof their marriage? How are they able to continue moving on in their relationship, in their marriage relationship, in a way that they thrive in the relationship, but not survive in it?
There are so many ways that you can help individuals to fireproof their relationship. One of them, which I like very most, and it's almost like it become a song in my life. There are three that I want to talk about in the next few minutes. This one we call the fondness and admiration. First of all, let's talk about the love map. And love map is simply the idea that I know you very well. The idea that when like my wife comes in, I know what she's going to do first. When it's meal times, we know who's going to pray, and you can almost guess how the prayer is going to start and how it's going to end, because you know one another very well. You know, if you were to go on a holiday, which will be your next destination, because you know along the way both of you have been talking about it, you have been singing about it, and so you know each other very, very well. And so love maps is simply knowing each other's psychological inner world very, very well. And it's a question of updating one another on what is going on in their life from moment to moment, so that at no given moment are you left in the dark regarding how your partner is faring cognitively, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, and in every other area of their life. Using open-ended questions, volunteering information, and you being curious to find out more information about each other. That's very, very crucial, because you know, you may have stayed together for 5, 10, 20, or 30 years, but the truth of the matter is you will never get to know your spouse completely. Why do I say so? You knew your husband before you had kids. Okay? Now that you have kids, you begin to know him in a different way as a father. Because before you had kids, you never knew him whether he was a good father or not. When kids come in, now the rules of engagement change. You begin to learn something about him, how he treats boys, how he treats girls, how he treats every child, okay? How he treats neighbors' kids when they come in. Now, when the kids go to school, you see, you've never been a parent who takes kids to school. And so that transition, as we go through transitions, this transition requires that our rules of engagement change. And as rules change, they either change automatically or you sit down as a couple and change the rules of engagement. And one funny thing about the rules of engagement is that they are not static. They are so fluid that they keep on changing from time to time. That's why one day you can say, but I thought we agreed this. And then it's like, no, we can also do this. Yeah, you see, changing, you know, as we go through transitions, transitions mold us. They change our perspectives about our essentials, the things that are very essential in our lives. And when our values, our beliefs, and our perspectives have been changed, we also need to transform. And you see, what may cause you to change as Pauline may not change your husband as himself. He needs now to see that Pauline is changing this area. How do I adjust? Yeah. And likewise, as he changes, you're also learning something about him. And as you learn something about him, you are learning something about you, your ability to change, your ability to adjust to the prevailing circumstances. And so until people realize that, you know, you never get to know your spouse 100%, it is still going to be difficult. And that's why people come for therapy, because crises come in their lives. They just don't know how to handle it. Reason being, they have not thought of how to engage differently based on the existing conflict. So, and it is not automatic. It is not written anywhere. You will never get these solutions anywhere. Yeah. But you know, it is just a resource that we need to know about, that we are human beings. As we go through circumstances, it is required of us to be willing to change. So circumstances change us. We hardly change circumstances. It is circumstances that change us. And the good thing is that God has endowed us with the resources, so many resources that we can tap into to find out how we can adjust to the prevailing circumstances. Finally, how you handled situation A yesterday may not necessarily be the same way you're going to handle situation B tomorrow. Yeah, it might just be almost similar. It can be a parenting issue. The way you parented your son yesterday may not be the same way you're going to parent your daughter or your other son tomorrow, because these are two different individuals. And even tomorrow, by the way, your frame of mind might be different from the way it was yesterday. So we don't have to be so rigid and to begin to use the same strategies that we have used in the past to resolve our issues. We need to look at issues independently and ask ourselves, how do I feel about this issue right now? How does my wife feel about it right now? How do I feel about how she's feeling about this issue? How does she feel about how I'm feeling about this issue? How does she think about how I'm thinking about this issue? You see, that metacognition and meta-feeling is what is crucial. Yeah? But you can only go into metacognition or meta-feelings when you know that, you know, we are human beings and we are growing in the process. So that's how I'll want to address some of these issues when I work with couples. I have no one technique, I have no one intervention that I use at any given moment, because different couples are different from one another. So there's no one size fit it all kind of intervention to resolve an affair, to resolve domestic violence or domestic abuse, to resolve parenting. We look at issues as they come. And the best thing is for me as a therapist to be curious to find out how this issue has impacted each couple and what resources they have used in the past to resolve the issues, what worked, what didn't work, what are they willing to look at individually and as a couple, and why. Yeah. If it fails, what are they willing to try again? So we're trying to open up ourselves to multiple possibilities.
It's 20 hours.
And that's very, very key to the success of the relationship. Yeah.
Just to take you back a bit, Mwalimu, on the love maps, yeah, you've begun saying that one of the ways to fireproof a marriage is using love maps. Would you probably say it in a layman's language? What does it exactly mean? What is using love maps?
Okay, love maps is just, you know, what is a map? A map helps you to know the direction to a destination. A map will enable you to know the features along the way. A map will help you to know the distance. A map gives you a rough idea of what you are looking for. Yeah. So if you want to go to Masai Mara and you've never been there, you need a map to guide you, to know when to turn, whether it's left or right, it is how many kilometers you are going to to drive before you get to the next turn, how will you know you have arrived? So love maps help us to map our spouses. Love maps help us to know what is going on in our spouses moment by moment. I said it is knowing each other's psychological inner world, physical inner world, cognitive inner world very, very well. To the extent that I like using these with the couples, I can ask, so what is your wife's bra size? You know, many men have no clue the size of the wife's bra. Yeah. And so, and they are staying with this person every day, they see bras every day. And so, do you know his waist? Yeah. But you see, such things that we take for granted. Do you know what his favorite meal is? Do you know what her favorite color is? Yeah. If she was to buy a car right now, what is the model of the car that she's likely to buy? It means that these people have been talking, they have been updating one another, they know each other's dreams, they know each other's triumphs, each other's failures, and they are willing to work together with one another. That is what love map is all about. And then the next one, I hope I'm clear, the next one is fondness and
that's clear.
Fondness and admiration. Looking for an opportunity to appreciate one another. Oh, I like your hairdo. I like the colors, the way you've just mixed your colors. I like your dressing. Wow, you smell so good. The cologne you're wearing. Oh my God, it turns me on. Something of the kind. So, you know, love maps and fondness and admiration. Admiring your partner moment by moment and appreciating who they are. You know, the key thing is learning to appreciate, learning to affirm one another. Yeah. If I ask a couple that comes for counseling, so how did you guys meet? I want to know whether there's still some romance, some fondness, some admiration, and we see they can talk about it. The people who are still in love. They can talk about it as if they just met yesterday. They look at each other, they smile and say, you remember the way you were dressed? You remember you were with so and so? You remember we were in such and such a place? You know, it becomes live to them. And when they talk about it, it's just as if it happened just yesterday. But you see, people who are almost headed to divorce or separation, it's like, oh my God, I regret the day I met you. Mm-hmm. They may not say so, but some may say so. But from their body language, it's like there are so many regrets. You know, these people are so traumatized about meeting one another and having to live together to the extent that, you know, they have lost the salt in their marriage that should preserve it. They have lost the light that should show them where to move to. The flavor to sweeten the marriage is not there. And so you will just realize that these ones, there is no fondness, there is no admiration. Yeah? Couples should be fond and should be developing the fondness and admiration towards one another moment by moment. Looking for an opportunity is like, I miss her to come back home. You know, it's not that you're trying to supervise where she is or where he is, but it's like you're looking at your watch. Oh my God, my wife has not come in, my husband has not come in. Where could he be? And then you call, and when you call, I said you're not supervising. You're just calling with that from the call and from your voice. It can just be like, oh, I miss you. Yeah, I miss you. I'm lonely without you. That's fondness and admiration. And then the third one, which is very, very crucial. Remember I said number one, love maps, number two, fondness and admiration. And then number three, which is very, very crucial, is learning to turn towards one another. There's so many beads for connection. Waking up in the morning. So how was your night? By the way, do you know we wake up every day from the same bed, but hardly do many couples say even good morning to one another. Yeah, they assume because they slept together, everything is okay. Yeah, And that's very funny. But you see, good morning does not necessarily mean that you are trying to snoop or whatever. It's just like, it's a bid for connection. It's like, so how are you this morning? I'm fine. What's your plan for the day? Yeah. It's not that you are trying to seek to control the activities that one is engaged in. You are just interested in knowing how your partner is going to spend their day. Yeah. And almost like they're dressing up, like, oh yeah, how about if you try on this tie? How about if you wear this shirt, etc. It's one of the fondness and admiration to affirm one another, but it's also another way of turning towards. And so people can turn towards, and which we encourage quite often couples to do, or they can turn against. Good morning. Like, what do you expect? Good morning when you have been snoring the whole night. I couldn't even sleep. Yeah. You see, they're turning you away, turning against you. Yeah. You know, I have this meeting, you know, I've been going to be very busy, but you know, I just didn't sleep because of you kept on turning. Or what's wrong? What was wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Can't you just learn how to sleep? You see, now they begin to be contemptuous towards you. Yeah. Or good morning. And then they keep quiet. That's now turning away from you. So those are the three different ways that turning can be manifested. You can either turn towards, turn against by being combative, being aggressive, or withdrawing. That means turning away from. The key thing is for us to look for every opportunity to turn towards our partners. Text message, so how are you doing? I'm fine. But you see, I'm fine is just, you have not explained how are you doing. Your spouse may just be asking for you to explain a little bit further. But you know, I'm told we men like, yes, I mean, this short answers. It's like the monologue. Yes, no, it is. But you see, we need to get to a point where we are willing to give more details to our partners, even as they inquire, they turn towards us for connection. The key thing is connection. You don't call your husband just to ask them to pay the bills. Yeah. Even in the process, you are turning towards. But you know, there are some people who only call or who only connect because of emergency. Reason why they do so is because love maps has disappeared, fondness and admiration has disappeared. So for them, it is only acting on emergency. Kids want to go to bed. The school fees or bills are due, etc. So the only marriage is just to mitigate issues that arise, the conflicts that arise. And that can be very, very dangerous to cushion your marriage or to fireproof your marriage. Fireproofing your marriage requires intentional effort to build your love map, conscious effort to appreciate one another, fondness and admiration, and then this deliberate effort to turn towards one another. In fact, it must become habitual, doing it to the extent that one does not have to doing it. Do it as if it is just part of your nature, not because you are coerced, not because you have to do it, but because it is the right thing to do, and because it has got many benefits following it. And so that's that is the key way to cushion, to help couples to cushion them and to enable them to fireproof their marriage. Because you know, this metaphor you're using, fireproofing the marriage. You know, I like the metaphor. I'm thinking of a firefighter. Yeah, you know, they're able to get into burning a building that is on fire and rescue lives there. So it's the same way we need to look for resources. We need to look for strategies that we can arm ourselves with in order to fireproof our relationships. And there are so many, they're there. Praying together is one of them for Christians, just praying together, yeah? And you know, praying together is, you can only pray together with somebody that you believe they're on the same page with you, because like the Bible says, where 2 or 3 are gathered together, not just gathered together, that oneness, that agreement, yeah, it is so key, and it enables couples to stick and stay together. And the Bible also talks about what 2 or 3 agree upon on earth shall be agreed upon in heaven. And so it is not possible, like Amos says, can 2 work together unless they are in agreement? It is not possible to fireproof a marriage if there is no agreement, if there is no turning towards, if fondness and admiration has just gone down the drain, it becomes completely, it's a near impossible kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So maybe Mwalimu, yeah, thank you so much for that. Now, whatever family, a couple is, the issues are external, meaning that of course, there's a lot of issues that have come up about and have been there about the in-laws, you know, they feel like the in-laws are interfering with their marriage. So how can a couple then fireproof themselves? Because then when one family comes in so strongly, that is the in-law family, how is this couple supposed to manage that?
it's just not only in-laws, can be your old friends, can be a workmate, can be anyone. Yeah. Okay. Let's start from the beginning, where we said I do. You know, your program is before I do and after I do. But as part of the I do, you said, let nothing put asunder what God has done, what? Put together. And so sometimes, and many of the times, we are the ones who cause these conflicts. It's not the in-laws. I don't blame my mother. I don't blame my mother-in-law. I wouldn't blame my father-in-law, my brother-in-laws, etc. You see, it is the couple that gives them permission to interfere in their relationship. Paul tells Timothy, let no one despise your youth. In other words, if anyone despises your youth, you would have given them permission. So similarly, in marriage, let your in-laws not interfere in your relationship as a couple. Yeah. But if anyone, whether it is your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, or whoever it is, you feeling so scared of them or troubled because of what they are doing, telling your husband or telling your wife against you, etc. You only need to look at your boundaries as a couple. There's something wrong about your boundaries. So it will require that you sit together as a couple and talk about your boundaries. How much room do you want to give to external forces? What are the parameters that you need to set? And now, if you notice someone is trying to interfere in your relationship, what steps do you need to take as a couple? You don't go and tell, your husband does not have to go and tell his mother that, you know, Pauline says that you are interfering in our relationship. You see, he will not be. In fact, he will be causing even more trouble. So the whole idea is we feel that we need to be left on our own to handle our issues. He doesn't even have to say, we feel that you are in because now that would be blaming. Is to talk about whether it is friends, when there is so much involvement in the church or the ministry or in the work that somebody does, and it's robbing them of quality time together as a couple, it's a question of just talking together as a couple, saying, hey, look here, I feel this is how things are. What do you think? What do we need to do as a couple? Yeah. Who needs to bring it up? And then how will we bring it up so that it doesn't look like we are blaming the other people for our own misery? But if boundaries are set well in advance, it becomes much easier. Everything in life, by the way, is all about boundaries. Think about the earth, the way it rotates on its axis. If it goes beyond the boundaries that God set it, we are going to find ourselves flying in the or bumping into other planets. But you see, there is order in the cosmic order, to the extent that, you know, we live in harmony with the moon, the stars, and all the other planets. Yeah, because anytime you step a degree beyond our limit, our axis, something's going to go wrong. Similarly, in our relationships, when we invite other people into our relationship, the foreign elements into our relationship, chances are it is not them who are going to suffer, it is us who are going to suffer. So the onus is on the couple to sit down and cushion themselves against the outside forces. Yeah. By doing what? Developing or creating these boundaries that are safe, not rigid. You know, you can set boundaries that are so rigid, and then you find that you have isolated yourself from other people. You can set boundaries that are so porous to the extent that anyone comes in and goes without any even making any fuss or having to think about it. So let the boundaries be so safe, so that you all know your limits as a couple, and other people can easily tell the limits of your boundaries. You have children. They don't come to your bedroom. They don't come to your bedroom to sleep there. And it's not written there, this is mommy and daddy's bedroom. They know, yeah? They know what time to come in. They know what to ask for what, because of the boundaries that you have set. They're not written anywhere, but you know, they just become automatic, that your kids know this is a no-go zone. Mommy and daddy will punish me or discipline me if I traverse these boundaries. Similarly, we need to make it just known to other people that, you know, I will not be punished, but I will be interfering in other people's relationships if I cross this boundary, the boundary violation. Yeah. So.
All right. Wow, thank you for that, for pointing out the issue of boundaries. Now, as we go towards a close, we have a very few minutes remaining. I would like you to talk to a gentleman who is listening and a lady who is listening about expectations, because at times a gentleman, a husband has expectations about the wife. I need you to do this. I want you to do this. And of course, again, the lady or the wife has expectations about their wife, the husband, what they need to do, what they expect of them. Of course, you mentioned a few things before about that, but as a way of winding up, what would you talk about to each of them about expectations, which would be causes of fire that would consume their relationship, as opposed to fireproofing? How would they fireproof when it comes to expectations?
Expectations, all of us have expectations. And we started developing these expectations way back before we even thought about marriage. Because we grew up in families where whether there was a mother or a father together or just one parent, and the family of origin created some expectations in us. And we started idealizing what a perfect marriage will look like, what a perfect family looks like, the roles of a husband, the role of a wife, where maybe the kind of a car you will drive, the type of house you will live in, the kind of job you wanted. When I grow up, I want to be like what it is. So expectations come as a package, but in different ways, different situations. As I said, situations also shape our expectations. Now, the expectation that people had before they got married, you'll be surprised, Pauline. There are some people who've been married for 5, 10, 20 years. This man still has the same expectations he had before he got married. He's forgetting that, like what I talked about, the transitions people go through. As people go through transitions, surely your expectations are going to change. Yeah. Now, you do not expect your wife to come from work, to go to the kitchen, cook, serve you, take care of the kids, make sure that they have gone to bed, tuck them in, sing a lullaby, and then you are waiting for her to come and you make love. And when she's so tired, and when she says she's tired, you begin to complain. My friend, it's not going to work. People just need to change. People just need to realize that, you know what you want. I always tell couples, if you want to be loved, be the first one to be the best lover. Okay. If you want to be appreciated, be the first one to appreciate, to show appreciation, because you want to be appreciated. So can you show what appreciation is? And when you get it, then you'll just know that I'm appreciated. If you want to be loved, show love. And then when it's given to you, you'll be able to know that, oh yeah, I'm loved. But you cannot expect what you don't have or what you can't give. So expectations come in 3 different ways. What do you expect from your wife right now as a mother, as a wife, as a friend? What do you think your wife expects from you? You remember, number 1 is, what do you expect from your wife? Number 2, what do you think your wife expects from you as a husband, as a friend, as a father, as, and I want to put this in quotes, as the leader or the head of the family, because people misuse this word, this headship thing. Yeah. So what do you think she's expecting from you? And number 3, as a wife, what are you expecting from yourself? As a husband, what are you expecting from yourself? So when you expect the expectations in 3 distinct ways, it becomes much easier for you now to dialogue about expectations. Oftentimes, people just have their expectations and they elevate their expectations as if the other partner has no expectations at all. And do you know what? It is the unmet expectations that drive people into therapy. It is the unmet expectations that cause people now to go into, to become contemptuous. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, the criticism, the contempt, the idea of the person being defensive and the other one stonewalling, withdrawing. It is because people will criticize because of unmet expectation. Somebody will become contemptuous because in his mind or her mind, they are longing for respect. They are longing for appreciation. But if they don't get appreciation, they will become contemptuous. When they feel blamed, when they feel criticized, because there is no fondness and admiration, there's no validation, there is no appreciation, they begin to use the blaming stance. Yeah. And the blaming stance has an automatic way of sending your partner into defensiveness. They become defensive. They want to protect their own self-image. And so when you are defensive, the other one will become contemptuous. Yeah, this is how you normally behave. When I ask you to do something, when I ask you a question, you just keep mum. What's wrong with you? Now, what's wrong with you becomes contemptuous. Now you begin to describe one another. And the more you describe one another, the more you criticize one another, the more you become contemptuous, the more you're withdrawing from one another. You are building a wall, stonewalling, emotional wall between the two of you. and you realize that the fire that was there from the beginning, what was supposed to fireproof the relationship, the four horsemen of the apocalypse come in to consume the relationship. So instead of fireproofing your relationship, you are destroying it yourselves. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Why? Because of unmet expectations. And these unmet expectations just don't come from the vacuum. It's because you've not just taken time to talk about your expectations. And what a better way to talk about expectations if not love maps, Pauline? It's the love maps. Finding out, so what do you expect in this situation? How do you want us to handle this? If you were in my position, what do you think I will do? Yeah. Oh, and then let her guess what you will do, and then you can correct and say, well, you are right, but I'll also do 1, 2, 3 things if I were in your if you were in my situation. And then that aha moment. Yeah? So you are learning one another, the fondness and admiration, the love maps and the expectation become live. So expectations are very, very important. In fact, expectations they're built on our yearnings. Human beings have universal yearnings. The universal yearnings are to connect, to be appreciated, to be recognized, to be valued, yeah, to have that sense of belonging, to be supported, harmony, peace, yeah. Those are universal yearnings that we all have. And when people don't receive those yearnings, and when they don't feel connected at the yearning level, it is going to affect their perspective of the relationship. And by extension, their expectations are also going to be affected in one way or the other. Hence, their feelings about the relationship or one another become distorted. And that's why people will either begin to cope by either using the placating. They want to please the other one at their own personal expense, or they will use the blaming stance. You. People blame for no apparent. People blame for a good reason. The reason is the expectations have not been met. And unfortunately, they have themselves to blame. Because if they had made the expectations known clearly in a loving, caring, and open way, I don't see the reason why they will not have their expectations met. They don't have to be met 100% because of the 69-31 ratio of perpetual and solvable issues. But the fact is that my spouse knows my expectations. It's good enough for you to know how to resolve a conflict. Thank you.
Wow. That is really powerful. And I just feel like going on and on and on, because there's quite a lot even coming for what you're saying. But I think what I really like, Mwalimu Amos, and what you said is that expectations are not wrong, but it is how is that we do not voice them. And so we become frustrated. And I also like what you said, that you cannot give what you don't give. You can't get what you don't, you're expecting your spouse to do this and this and this for you, but you don't want, there's nothing you also want to give. So you ask for what you also are able to give. I really like that. And of course, the love map issue, I really like it. So thank you very much. We've come to the end. I'll just give you a minute to give a parting shot. Yes, a parting shot to the viewers, to a couple listening.
The parting shot. The parting shot is very simple. It's just in a statement. In your relationship, do you want to be right, or do you want to be loved? Now, if you want to be loved, show love. But if you want to be right, you'll stay in your head and you will not reach your partner's heart. So if I were you, I will seek, pray, and pursue love at any cost. Thank you.
Wow, that is a good one. Do I want to be loved or do I want to be right? Thank you for giving us that challenge, and it was a pleasure to host you, Mwalimu Amos. As I said earlier to my views, you are my lecturer as well, and so I am honored and privileged to have had you in this show, where we come to talk about real issues before and after marriage. And of course, this month we'll be dealing with issues of after we say I do. Thank you, Fiona, our sign language interpreter. Is me, your host. It's been a delight to be with you this evening. My name is Pauline, and see you next time. Keep it on our page to know our next the next episode or the next topic that we're going to have on Friday. And from me here is have a lovely weekend. Have a good night. God bless you, and God bless Kenya. Bye-bye.
Bye.